Yeah, good evening, guys. Uh, sorry you guys couldn't had the break. We are sorry for that. So we come to the next session. This is a session on prevention of sexual harassment at the workplace. Uh, Today we have with us Advocate Kavita Sharma. Uh, Ma'am, you can be seated.
Good evening, everyone.
So Advocate Kavita Sharma is a program manager at Majlis. She joined Majlis in 2022, where she works on cases of domestic violence. She has a degree in law and a master's in law, LLM. She has practiced as a lawyer at the Supreme Court, Delhi High Court, and trial courts. Prior to that, she worked for a decade as a journalist for NDTV and CNN IBN. She is passionate about helping women and children facing sexual and domestic violence. So it's our pleasure, Kavita Sharma, to listen to you. On behalf of School of Business Management, NMMIS, we formally welcome you.
That's a very generous introduction.
So over to
Hello,
you, ma'am.
everyone. Hi, so I'm here to have a session on prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, the POSH Act. I see a lot of male faces here who must be wondering, humko kya karna hai, why are we here? Everybody, all men who are sitting here must be thinking the same, right? I mean, no? So why do we all need to do this POSH session? Can anyone tell me why are we here? Why are we doing this? Just because Sarkar ne bola hai, or anybody from the audience wants to say? Can someone pass the mic, please? Somewhere there. Is it possible to get the mic to, yeah? Yeah, so we are all here. In the meantime, before we proceed, I'll just introduce myself. Sir has given a very generous introduction. And I'll tell you that I come from this organization called Majlis, which provides social and legal support to women and children. So Majlis was founded by our by Advocate Flavia Agnes to help women and children who were struggling with legal assistance for violence. Great, mics have been arranged, sir can help us with this. Yes, so I was asking all of you, especially the men in the room, why do you think training in POSH is important? Someone's here also is raising their hand. Yes, sir.
I think it's about creating safe and healthy workplaces so people can do their work in an efficient manner.
Exactly. So that is why we all need to know what is the act so that we can all strive towards creating a safe work environment where not just the women, but everyone is able to achieve their complete potential. Because try imagining someone who is constantly being badgered or facing some kind of harassment at workplace. Will that person be ever able to perform to the best of their abilities? I don't think so. This whole pressure of doing something or behaving in a certain fashion with someone will never let us ever reach our complete productivity. So before we start, I also wanted to ask you all about whether you all are aware of what is consent. Anybody here who would want to tell me, men, women, anyone who would tell me what is it that you all understand by consent? Anybody here? There, pass the mic there. Yes, ma'am.
Agreeing to something when you're fully conscious and aware of agreeing to that particular thing.
Thing as in, I would ask you again, when you're talking about a particular thing, here I would, in light of the POSH Act, here I would want to point out here, in light of the Act, it would mean essentially about any kind of an interaction with anyone, which could be sexual or non-sexual in nature, right? So when I'm talking about consent over here, I would like to say that consent is, there are three aspects to consent. First is that it has to be voluntary. There is no way that anyone can coerce you into being consensual about something. You cannot be in a situation where someone is saying, if you come with me for lunch, only then will this happen, I'll give you this project or this assignment. So the project or assignment is a coercion, which is enabling me to not decide for myself. For getting the project assignment, if I have to go out with someone for lunch, that is not consent. Second is, it has to be informed. You have to be informed as to what is it that you're getting into. The third is that consent is revocable. If I am agreeing to go out for lunch with a person, I am only agreeing to go out for lunch. Nothing beyond. At any point of time, at any instance, I can say no, and that should stay. Any kind of act that is happening beyond that should completely cease to happen. Yeah? So, when their consent is forceful, when people are forced into doing things which they do not want to do, we would categorize that as violence, right? Anything that is happening to me, happening to anyone without their consent would mean an act of violence. Now, in our society, as we have seen, violence is essentially faced by women in various aspects, by men, women. See, like how difficult it would be. I would ask all women around here that if you all have ever faced any kind of unnecessary touch, unnecessary comments just while coming here, traveling in the local trains. Anybody who can describe any instance where you have been spoken to in a way which you did not like or touched in the way which you do not like? Anybody around here can share any instance? Anyone? Okay, come back. We're back here. Come. Yes, ma'am. Please do tell me. No, not in the works. I'm saying outside on the road. We are all traveling on the roads. We are all taking local trains. We are traveling by buses.
So, ma'am, this is like an experience that I had back in my hometown, that's in Delhi. Multiple experiences, basically, it's been actions, like...
Delhi invokes a lot of bad... I'm also from Delhi, by the way. Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, so, ma'am, it has basically been actions, I would say. And another thing that was very significant is, it was 10 p.m. and I was traveling by the Delhi Metro and I was in the women's coach. But because it was beyond a certain time limit, some of the men thought it was okay to just like break that first bogie is like reserved for women. So that was something. So that was not something I personally had, but the personal thing was I had actions and I also did experience some comments, but that was in another city. That was in Kolkata. So that is like, so two instances come to my mind right now.
Anyone else would like to share anything here, please? Because this session is about being vocal with your problems. It is not about sitting and saying, "Acha, uske saath ho gaya, mere saath bhi hua tha, but I will not talk about it." Anybody else here who wants to mention anything else? Okay, I hope by the end of this session you'll all be more comfortable talking about it. Yeah, so United Nations defines violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, mental harm, suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or in private. Globally, these are all global statistics, women, 1 in 3 women have suffered some or the other kind of violence against them, which was essentially the need for why it is important for us to create safe space. So like sir introduced, when he did introduce me, he told you that I look after the domestic violence unit. So like the incident ma'am mentioned right now, this happened in a train. in a metro train where she was there, she was uncomfortable, and she did not like what was happening. But what I deal with is essentially when such violence happens in the house. Because when you're at home, you are not getting out of that situation ever. Your perpetrators, people who are trying to harm you are always there. The other place where we are for very long hours from which we do not have any escape is our office spaces. Yeah? So it is extremely important to make sure that any woman is not feeling unsafe in her office space. So I, again, sorry, want to put back that question to you. Like now what ma'am mentioned, an incident here was one incident. But if she ever had to report that incident, does anybody know what would be the procedure to do that? You would have to go to the police. You would have to file a complaint with the police and say that this is what has happened to me, right? Anybody been here to the police station? Anybody here who's gone to the police station ever? Yeah? Such few people, nobody's even gone for passport verification. I can't believe this. Yeah? And what is your experience been like in the police stations? Please, someone, I really need people up there, somebody to tell me, when you walk into a police station, what does it feel like to you all? Anybody? Someone please pass the mic. I think there are a lot of people there who want to tell us their experience about a police station. Yes, sir, please. Here. Yes, please.
Okay, so I worked with Delhi police.
Yes.
Making their reports voluntarily, and they gave me a certificate for it. So during that time, I was spending 3 to 4 hours every day at the police station.
Yes.
And also I'm also from Delhi, and from Northeast Delhi. You must be aware of that Jamna Par area, which is very famous nowadays due to a series. So I've seen all sort of criminals, from Nadi ke paas mein ho rahe murders to domestic violence to Dahej ka paisa, and everything I've seen.
Yes, no, but then you were a part of the police. What happens to a common man, a common woman who has been suffering, who has been a victim of violence, wants to go to the police? Anybody else can describe the interaction with the police over here, please?
But ma'am, there are officers employed at a particular police station, like a
Yes,
juvenile
yes.
officer and a women officer, who is taking care of all the things related to women and children.
Yes. But are we all apprehensive about going to a police station?
No, nobody is.
Nobody's apprehensive about going to the police station?
I mean, I'm talking about the people who live in the areas where these things are considered not safe to go to police, because people have the reverse mindset that if they will go to the police, then somehow they will be blamed for why the things are happening to them.
Yeah, so I will tell you about myself. Till I did not start working with Majlis, I had not been to a police station, not even for passport verification. So for me, interacting with the police also was a very, like he said, a very taboo thing कि police station कैसे जाएंगे? अच्छे घर के लोग police station नहीं जाते हैं. और पर अगर, so that is why we have these POSH guidelines, because the POSH guidelines are creating a parallel system within the organization, right? It's creating a system in the office space, in your call it space, where you can find redressal for any kind of sexual harassment which has happened to you without really going to the police. Yeah, so are you all aware of how the POSH guidelines came into being? Anybody? Okay, no, I will not ask anyone. Nobody wants to answer me today. So I will tell you, there was this whole case, a Vishakha judgment which happened. Back in Rajasthan, there was a woman called Bhamri Devi who was sexually assaulted at her workplace. She was trying to go stop a child marriage, and the upper caste men of the village came and sexually assaulted her while she was in the line of duty. So the Supreme Court took cognizance of this matter and said that when women are out to work, there cannot be a situation where they are feeling unsafe. Just like women have to feel safe inside their homes, all women have to also feel safe in their workspaces, which is why the Supreme Court came up with the guidelines and the whole POSH Act was drafted. Yeah. Now, I would also, before proceeding with the matter, would like you all to know, how do you identify? We all know that touching messages is bad, but how does one say that, okay, this particular act is an act of sexual violence and I am going to report this? So, any unwanted physical contact or advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, any sexually colored remarks, exposing the victim to pornographic material, or digital or print, or any other welcome, unwelcome, physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct in a sexual manner. So if any one of these things, especially, so all this is going to be mentioned in your student's resource book, which you will get eventually from the university. But I have to point this out, that if any woman in the organization faces any kind of unwanted sexually colored remarks, touch, you can go and report this incident. Yeah? And now I want to ask you all that who all do you think can be a victim in this scenario? Is it only the students who are in campus right now who can go out and call out for something that has happened? Or are there more people whom we would... Nobody talks to me over here. Yeah. So basically I will say that all students, as your students resource book will again tell you, all students, undergraduate, postgraduate, all your research scholars, your people who are repeating their terms, students on the campus, exchange programs, distance education, anybody is considered who has suffered any kind of sexual violence will be considered as a victim under the Act. Your ex-students who are permitted to use the facilities of the college will also be considered to report. Your administrative or support staff, faculty members also, permanent members, ad hoc members, everybody will fall within the purview of this Act. And now, supposing I'm giving you all another scenario here. Supposing I have been in my college, some professor comes and tells me, asks me for a sexual favor or asks me to perform a certain activity because of which I will probably get a better rank in my class, or he will probably omit the mistakes in my answer sheet. Would this be considered an act of sexual violence which can be reported? Another scenario I will give you is when some other student invites me to his house later in the night and says, "Ki, you please come and we will sit and discuss the assignment, or we will sit and work together." Yeah? In this scenario, if you say no and he continues to pester you about it, would this be an act of sexual violence? Yes. A third scenario which I would want to give you all is that we are walking in a corridor, a lady is walking in a corridor and someone has a catcall or a whistle behind. Would that also be considered an act of sexual violence? Yes. Why? Because these acts, these requests are essentially making us feel unsafe, which is where. So now, when we are talking, I have, like the second scenario where I mentioned that the student has been pestering, another colleague, a classmate has been pestering me to come to their houses for completing an assignment, and I'm saying no, but they are not backing off. So I, as a victim, definitely have a right to complain about this, right? But is there anyone else who can complain on my behalf? Yes, there are other people who can complain. My family can complain. Anybody who's witnessed the act can complain, or the committee can take a suo motu cognizance of the whole issue. Yeah? So what is the procedure? And the procedure for complaint. Today, if I have suffered sexual violence, I have to go ahead and write an application. I have to approach the committee within 1 month of the incident. Again, I am repeating myself, all this information is going to be there in your student resource book, which shall be given to you. So at any point, if you find yourself in a situation where you want to go and file a complaint and you forget the session completely, you can always refer back to your student's resource book. It will have it. So you have to approach the committee within 1 month of the incident. The committee will convene a meeting to hear the complaint. Yeah, if the victim, if the woman wishes that she does not want to depose in front of a man, the nature of the act is such where she is not comfortable talking about it to a man, she can very well ask the committee that I want to depose only in front of the female members. The respondent, whoever is the person whom she is filing the complaint against, will get about 2 weeks to respond to that. And if the complainant wants that no strict action should be taken, or she feels that the nature of complaint is such that with a warning only, the respondent will probably not repeat the act, or she will be all right, she can also ask for that and tell the committee to just issue a warning and not take any other action. Otherwise, the committee will go ahead and conduct their inquiry, and they will send a report to the Vice Chancellor of the university, who will then have to act upon the recommendations of the committee. So, if a person is found guilty of sexual misconduct, there are certain penalties which are again going to be there in your student's resource handbook. So, all the men in the room who think that it's okay to get away with it, do read the penalty clause. Yeah? Warning, reprimand or censure, fine, withholding, increments, promotion, reduction in the post to a lower pay scale, compensation to the victim, compulsory retirement for employees who are there, termination of services, removal or dismissal for services. What are the other penalties that you can be done? Warning, you can be asked to give a written apology. Hello, listen. Important. You will be asked to give a written apology, a bond of good behavior. You can be debarred entry into the campus. You can be prevented by security and told not to enter the campus. You will need to give some kind of a monetary compensation to the victim if the mental or the emotional harm or there has been physical harm. You can be debarred from any kind of an examination, or you can also be expelled from a university. So you, again, like I repeat, I'm saying this again. So this is like a parallel system. Together with how the police will operate, together with how the courts will operate, this act has created a parallel system within the organization, within your college, so that if you are apprehensive about going to the police, you should not be left without a remedy. There should always be someone to protect you from any kind of perpetrators of sexual violence. Your ICC committee has also been mentioned into your students' resource book. Who are the members? I will just quickly read out the list of the members to you. Professor Sangeeta Kher, who is the Dean, Chairperson, Dr. Ketan Shah, Associate Professor, he's an HOD of MPSTME, Ms. Karuna Bhaya, Dr. Meena Galeria, Mr. Parmanand Rajawar, Dr. Ashish Daptadar. Majlis Legal Center is always there. Ms. Rachna Shetty, who is a student's representative, Ms. Madhvi Thanvi, who is a student's representative, and Ms. Mayurika Dasani, who is also a student's representative. So at any point, anybody who faces any kind of sexual violence can always go to any of these people, approach them, tell them that they have faced sexual violence or sexual inappropriate comments, and that they can ask you for a complaint in writing and then take it forward from there. Put forth the complaint to the ICC, the Internal Complaints Committee, which will then conduct an inquiry as per the procedure which is listed into your student's resource book. is this whole, yeah, so is the whole process clear to everyone? Yeah. So to be able to create this safe space in the university so that no woman feels unsafe or nobody feels as if they cannot achieve their proper potential. We have this whole parallel system which is running, and every woman can feel safe according to, but I'm sure you all must be having a lot of questions about this. Anybody wants to ask me something till here till I proceed further? Anybody here who wants to know anything? How will this be a fair situation? Will the committee not be partial? Anybody has any questions? Please come up. Why only women? Why are men not given this opportunity?
Hello, ma'am. I'm up here.
Sorry.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, please.
So, ma'am, first of all, as a guy, I would like to thank you for what you're doing right now. And
Thank you.
also, I have been parts of organization during my undergraduate. We have been to schools, taught young kids about good touch, bad touch, and we have done a lot of things for that. I just want to ask you something, like,
Yes.
as a guy, I have sometimes felt unsafe, not because of sexual harassment or something, but just because there is always a fear because of the recent rights, the recent opportunities that women have. There are lots of false cases right now that each and every... You get to see false cases. I have heard of them. I have seen some people's lives getting destroyed because of false cases. So what is your take on that? And if you think there are some ways to get rid of them?
Sorry? Whether there are any false cases and whether there is
Some procedure to get rid of them, or like what is your take on that?
See, my take on this is that their internals complaint committee, which is there, has some very responsible people on the committee, right? They have been in the profession for quite a lot, many years, and they are not biased because it is not constituting of only one person or two person. You have representatives from the student bodies, you have external members who are coming in, people who don't know you. And also, I must point this out that if your direct supervisor, for example, is within this committee and you have a complaint, that supervisor can be excused. You have an option of doing that, right? So the idea is to keep this committee as neutral as possible and to have people who have the experience, people who have dealt with certain situations and are able to identify whether the complaint is a genuine complaint or whether it is a complaint which is a frivolous complaint. So this much we have to trust. But again, I'm saying, in the event the complaint committee comes out and you feel that it is a biased thing, you always have the courts and the police to approach. This is a parallel system which has been created within the organization. It is not the only system which you have. The courts provide remedies against such false complaints. But before reaching a court, before going to it, I suggest that you try and have some faith, I would say, which I don't think is easy. But yeah, these people are people who have been in the field for a very long time, and to be able to distinguish good from bad, right from wrong, is something that they can do. Otherwise, obviously, there is always the courts which are open for you. So, yeah. I hope that answers questions. No?
Thank you,
Anything else? Anyone else who wants to know if we can... Why women? Why is this special act there only to take care of women? Anybody has this question? Why are the men not protected? No? All women are happy being protected and all men are happy with no laws for them, yeah? Okay, so, yeah, sorry. Anybody here? Yes, sir, please. Sorry?
Are there anything for men?
No, you don't have anything. Yes, so basically, so what happens is that the Constitution of India creates this class of people. Yeah? The women here, working women especially. Again, working women are there who have been put under a class. Your right to equality, Article 19 tells you to create equality between one class of people. So this does not distinguish any person who is working in an office, who is a student, domestic workers who are working in your homes. They all fall under the class of working women, and this is there to protect each and every one and each and every woman who's stepping out of their house and going out to earn a living. Now, within the purview of this act, institutions like this where women are going out to study are also covered. Yeah? So, men always have the courts to go to. You can always go and complain to the police. But for women, this is a special provision which is there by the Constitution to have the POSH Act. Anyone else who wants any more questions here? But we have to understand why I can say for myself that my mother's generation, probably men have been out working for a long time, but for my mother's generation, probably it was the first generation in our family who stepped out to work. Before that, women were home, women were not allowed to or did not wish to, or we did not have spaces where women could go and work, except for probably domestic help. But as the times are changing, the laws are changing, the scenarios are changing, now it is the responsibility of all of us collectively to make sure that when a woman is stepping out to work, to earn a living for herself, can be safe in her workspace and should not fear at any point of time that if I go there, something untoward will happen or I will have to face my perpetrator. Another very important thing within the act is that while the inquiry is going on, right, while I have gone and furnished my complaint, while the complainant has been called, what do I do if I have to still go and face my perpetrator every day? The person who has probably had some kind of who's made some sexual advances to me is sitting right across me. Or in an examination, his roll number is right behind mine. What do I do? Or the classroom, I have to interact with that person every day. Or it is probably just a professor or any other faculty or staff member or any person who's interacting with me every day. What do I do? What can I ask for? Is it fair for me to keep facing my perpetrator every day even when I don't want to? I don't think so. And the Act has taken care of this for all the women here. Whenever you are, if ever you have a complaint and you do not want to, you will be allowed to go on leave till the proceedings of till the investigations are completed and till a final action has not been taken. But again, I would encourage everyone. What I would want to tell everyone here, the Act will only help, the POSH Act will only help you if you go out and complain. It is extremely important till the complaint is not filed, though a suo motu cognizance can be taken. But it is important to talk about this, not just for yourself, but to make other people also aware. If you want your confidentiality kept, the committee will make sure that your name is not leaked. It is bound to do that. But please, we have to make sure that the workspaces are safe for us and for all the future generations to come. So we have to go out, we have to speak about it, we have to not sit and silently tolerate any kind of sexually colored remarks, sexual abuse which might happen in any workspace. And this is also for all the men present here. We have to please try and make sure that the women who are coming to work with us feel safe. We have to respect consent. we have to respect our boundaries, and we have to go ahead and say that it is our responsibility to make sure that no woman feels uncomfortable when she's out there to work. Any more questions here? It's all open to, I've done saying what I have to say. Any more questions here, please? Please feel free to talk. I'm continuously encouraging all of you to talk about it so that any questions, I'm here to answer everything right now. Yes?
Ma'am, right here, in the middle.
Yes.
Ma'am, here in the middle. Exactly.
Yes.
Ma'am. Ma'am, I want to
There,
say,
okay, yeah.
ma'am, men
Yes.
should also feel safe that no woman will allegate and destroy their career. Ma'am, generally communities don't have the men section or even a defendant for men to get out their point of what they thought was consent or was not consent. There are like non-verbal consents in legal areas, but our community, that act you said doesn't provide that.
The Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, the POSH Act.
That doesn't provide that. Also, in legal areas, you said men should go for legal route. That causes reputational damage and financial damage both. And after that, getting work is also difficult. So what would you like to say to men who are like getting accused left and right without any thought?
Like I would, okay, so now there is no smoke without fire. We are fighting 5,000 years of patriarchy over here, where there have been thousands of precedents where men have been the perpetrators. Yeah? Like I said, it's only in the past, say, 30 years, women have started stepping out, and because of the unruly acts of the men, the women have gone ahead and had this protection from the government. But yes, we have to, again I'm repeating, as men, we have to make sure that nothing that we do is going to make any woman feel unsafe or complain against me. Yes, it's a very thin line to walk because often boundaries get blurred, but we have to make that conscious decision of thinking before talking, of before asking anything or before calling any names to anyone. And when a woman says no, we have to know that, okay, this is where we are going to stop. We are not going to proceed further. Yeah? If it means stepping back, we have to do it once the consent is gone.
Ma'am, second question, if a man from men's background says no, ma'am, there is no that area also in the law, not even your committee. Where should men report the sexual harassment?
You can always try and approach the committee and tell them that this is what is happening, but sorry, the law is only for women.
Yeah.
It is, you use your right, say no, consent is equally for you as it is for the woman. I am sure the woman will understand. We are so used to being told no, 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 no all our lives. No is a word that we all understand very well. Trust me on that. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. You're out late at night. No. No is a word all women understand very well. You take my word for that. I have 2 daughters. The only word they understood from the first day was no, because I'm doing the same to them. No, don't do this. Don't wear short clothes. Don't play with this boy. Don't go there. All women understand no. Trust me on that. Try next time. Anyone else around here who wants to have any questions? I'm surprised. I know woman has spoken. Nobody wants to know. No woman here wants to know what to do, what not to do. I can't be that good na ki ek baat bola sabko samajh mein aa gaya. Any woman wants to come up and ask? Another man? Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, not a woman, but...
Yes, sir, I see that from here.
Ma'am, there are times that when I see, in my past I have seen women, they let some men cross that limit. actually, when I saw sometimes that that this woman is letting that man cross that limit, and I also tried to say her that don't let him cross that line. But ma'am, she was the one convincing me to say that no, you have some conservative thinking. That's not what you are seeing. So ma'am, what should I do in that reason? In that case, should no, ma'am.
No. So,
I mean, should I bash that man or should I say that these are women? What should I do then?
sorry, you should bash that man or?
Ma'am, should I bash that man or what should I do, ma'am? Because after all, I don't know what to do because
But
that-
why are you in the equation? It's between some other man and other woman. Why are you being bothered about it? No, just asking. No, this does not
Ma'am.
mean to.
Ma'am, I am involved because, ma'am, in Bhagavad Gita also, Sri Krishna says that,
No, we'll stick to the law.
ma'am,
We'll
he
stick to
also
the law.
says when you see adharma is doing, and even in Guru Granth Sahib, we are told if we see adharma is going on, we should take action. We should not only see him.
But the decision is not yours now. You are nobody in the equation. It's between another man and another woman.
Yeah, so ma'am, that's the loophole
And
of the
if
law.
the woman ever says no and that man goes ahead and still pesters her, then he will be in trouble. Till she's allowing him to do whatever, that is her consent.
I am just asking you.
Yeah,
Like-
I am also telling you, sir. Till she is okay with whatever it is her consent. But whenever she says no. Okay, you all remember the Nirbhaya case? All of you do? Yeah, where the rape happened in Delhi. Yeah. So some people went ahead and said कि वो बस में चढ़ी ही क्यों रात को? अगर वो बस में चढ़ी है मतलब she's asking for it. और वो अपने बॉयफ्रेंड के साथ थी. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं फ्रेंड के साथ थी. अगर फ्रेंड के साथ रहती तो बाकी का तो मतलब सब चलता है ना, मतलब there is no line which has been drawn. That is where consent comes in. If the woman, your friend, has led on another man, if he is going with her, but when she says no, he must stop. That is what you need to remember. She did not get into the bus. Nirbhaya did not get into the bus wanting to end up dead. She got into the bus to reach her house. When she said no, people should have stopped. But that did not happen. So everyone must remember, any woman who is your friend is allowing you certain acts but not allowing you the other, is saying no. Respect that. Again, women, now I really want to hear from the women. Yes, ma'am. Please. This act is for you, ladies. Please ask if you have any questions.
Ma'am, my question would also take care of the questions that a lot of my male colleagues have asked. Is that when I am filing a complaint, when any woman is filing a complaint, is there a certain proof that has to be provided, or is it completely based on like my word against his? Like
Ma'am,
that?
your statement is most important, but if there is anything additional that you can give, if supposing someone has sent you the text message, it is important that you show that message to the committee. It is also important that if you have any emails or anybody else who is a witness to the acts, must be produced before the committee.
All right. So, ma'am, in that case, I think that will be a good way to like stop the innocent men from being accused, I think.
Yes.
Like, right? When there is proof. So I think on some
Of
level
course.
that does, right?
If there is proof, yes, but there are lots of incidences where there is not proof also. In that case, your statement should be more than enough.
Hello, ma'am.
Preferably, yes.
Ma'am, here in the middle. In the middle.
There,
ma'am,
yeah,
here.
okay.
So, I have been a POSH representative in my previous company that I've worked in the manufacturing sector.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the manufacturing sector usually doesn't have a lot of women in the workforce on the shop floor. So, we were being told by a lot of the senior management that please be ready to say no, and you have to be very cautious. So, at first I was very surprised that this has to be emphasized. But then when I started working, I did see, okay, this is why they were saying it.
Yes.
And hence I was used to be very cautious. Like some of the male colleagues pointed it out, some women do give those signals. I was very cautious of it. Instead of that, there were times instead of being the POSH representative myself, I faced some incidents where I was in a dilemma myself that what do I do? I am the POSH representative. So just to give a little context,
Yes, yes, please.
some male colleagues in the manufacturing sector, there are not a lot of young people.
Yes.
So they are usually in the age range of 35 and above. So they don't really understand the concept of consent, I guess. And they also don't know how to behave with women colleagues. So like they used to pass comments which I was not comfortable with. Even after gently nudging them to not say such comments, they used to continue. Also, knowing the rules of POSH myself, I also told my manager, the HR, a lot of official complaints. Nothing helped because ultimately the rules of corporate came in where they value the male colleagues' experience
No, that's
more.
not a rule. That's not a rule. That is the
Ma'am,
bias.
I have faced it, so hence I'm
That's
just
the
asking this
bias.
question.
That's not a rule. Yeah, come on, go ahead.
So yeah, ma'am, my point was when that thing comes in where the company values the experience of the colleague more rather than a female employee's word, what to
What
do
do
in
you do
that?
in a situation like that?
Exactly.
See, first of all, it is a bias that has been in our societies कि lady है तो ये तो काम ही करेगी या she will never have the kind of an experience which a male man has. And obviously, when we are dealing with a senior employee, people tend to get more bias towards the employee than a new fresh child who's come in. But that is wrong. This is exactly why the POSH committee is set up so that people can take cognizance of this and do it. But if you think that the internal complaints committee is not helping you, it is not trying to protect your interests, then there is a local complaints committee in every district. There is the police. You can always go to them and get them to take cognizance of the matter. Yes, it is a little lengthy process, but I assure you that cognizance of the issue will be taken. And the police will do their rightful thing which they're supposed to do. So if you at any point feel that the internal complaints committee has not addressed your request carefully, properly or judiciously, you can always approach the police outside and take the matter up there.
But ma'am, in case of just slight comments, suppose they are commenting about the
Whatever is
appearance.
making you uncomfortable is not okay. We have to understand that all women in the room, whatever is making you uncomfortable is not okay. If someone is saying your smile is very beautiful, but your face is otherwise not pretty, it's making you uncomfortable, then you have to report. You have to speak up about such instances. Yes, ma'am. You have to switch on the mic, please.
Hello.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Let me just say about the guy, I was honestly disgusted by what he said. Like, women are asking for it. Let me just say, if we wanted it, we would just ask for it.
So true.
Second of all, he quoted Gita, right, I think. I mean, all these books, oh my gosh, the God said this. Let's just do this. No, that's not the point. First of all, women try so hard to be safe. And then these guys say, she gave me the signal. She said this. She said this. No, when she said the first no, that was it. She didn't do anything.
Absolutely, ma'am. I completely agree with you.
And I am just sorry for the girls in his family.
No. Let's not get there. Let's not get there. But
At
yes.
least I taught my brother some values.
Thank
Could
you.
have done better. Thank you.
So yes, I will have to wrap up this session now, and I thank all of you for being such a patient, interactive audience. But please, all of you must remember.
Hello. Ma'am, just one last question.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, I want to backtrack this to the initial bits from the discussion.
I can't see you. Where are you? There,
towards
okay,
your
yeah,
left.
great, yeah, thank you.
You know, I came a bit late, so I didn't get to hear the entirety of that conversation, but I think you were going over a hypothetical incident where you were saying if a teacher, or if rather a student, is asking his teacher to come over to the place
No,
and
asking a fellow student.
okay, I'm just going to create a hypothetical incident of my own because I want to drive a point home. Uh, the point being, let's say that a student is asking a teacher to come over to her place to discuss an assignment, and if he makes that recurring ask 3 or 4 times, the question that I want to drive home is that I don't feel like it's tantamount, whatever is happening is tantamount to the teacher complaining to the police, because the point that I'm trying to make is the Western wokeism that has penetrated to these lands now, and some of which we witnessed in the last 40 or 50 seconds, has, you know...
No, we are not.
No, honestly,
we are not going there. We are not. I'm sorry, I asked her
I'm
also.
sorry
No,
about...
no, please, no. We are not going there. We are not going there.
I'm
Yes.
sorry about that.
Okay, so let me respond to
I'll
you.
retract that statement of mine.
Yeah, guys,
Please ignore
I
that.
think
And I'm just going to wrap this up in
Yeah.
40 or 50 seconds.
No, yeah.
I don't want to ask you a question, but I surely want to drive a point home. I originally hail from Delhi, ma'am, and just 2 points, just 2 incidents, and I'm going to make them very quick. I was once walking around JNU, which is Jawaharlal Nehru University. It's a very premium institute of our country. And 2 women and 1 man was walking in front of me, and there's no shade or nothing that's being thrown here. But the woman, I ended up eavesdropping, obviously, they were walking in front of me. So the woman, I don't know what they were talking about, but the woman ended up saying, agar zyada bolega, to I'll throw a molestation case against him. The second point that I want to, and there's no question, ma'am, I guess what I'm trying to do here is, 3 fellow men from the audience as well talked about this, so I just feel like we should talk about it as well. Just one last thing, my basketball teacher, I've known the person for 10 years. I'm not going to get into the nuances of the incidents or whatever happened, but last year there was some case against him from our school. So there was some case, but he ended up being in TR for 1 year. And I just feel like...
So,
Okay,
so,
I think I
I will have to cut you short.
But
here.
there's no
Now,
question here. There's no question here. Thank you so much for your time.
What I'm trying to tell you here is that when you are making these complaints, there is also a power play involved. When a student is telling the teacher, okay, come to me, there is no power play involved. The student cannot harm the teacher in any way the way a teacher can harm the student. A teacher can withhold grades, a teacher can probably assign bad marks, a teacher can give a bad report in the annual report, but a student cannot do that. So we have to take all of this into consideration when we are talking, when we are shifting the equation where the power play is different. Yeah? And, yeah, sorry.
I really want to ask something.
Yes, ma'am. Last question I'm taking now. I think everyone's giving me dirty looks.
I do empathize with girls who have been through sexual harassment, and I feel like this is something nobody should ever go through. But not that I'm against them, but I do want to raise an incident where there was this classmate of mine, and she was going through a breakup. And what she says is, if this guy breaks up with me, मैं तो लड़की हूँ, कुछ भी बोल दूँगी, वो तो लड़का है, कौन ही सुनेगा? So I feel like, how do we actually know which girl is actually telling the truth? I empathize
But ma'am,
with all
that
the girls
is
present
not,
here,
yeah, that is
but
not,
I mean, I stand for guys too. I have had really good
as
male
I said,
friends.
you have
So
to
they've always
trust.
been nice to me and have been very respectful to me. So I
You-
feel like I'll stand for them too.
You have to respect the fact that the internal complaint committee, whoever is there, are very, very experienced people. And they have the knowledge to distinguish about what is a frivolous complaint and what is not. And as far as talking about false complaints, it is a responsibility of all of us. I am not saying it's only the responsibility of the men. It is also the responsibility of all the women to not misuse the law.
Yeah, but you just said a statement is enough. If a girl makes that statement, it's enough to...
So, ma'am, the people are going to investigate, right? It is not like the complaint is going to go just straight to its culmination without having any kind of an investigation happening. I just read out the names of all the people to you who are there.
Ma'am,
and these are very respected people of the organization who have put in years of hard work. They have been students, they have been teachers. Okay, I think now
Sorry, as a moderator or as a faculty, I had to stop this here. So just to update, we have a very robust internal complaints committee. The university has that committee. So I think it thoroughly investigates every case, from both perspectives. And just to update that, Advocate Kavita Sharma belongs to Majlis, and Majlis is a part of that committee. Okay, so that's one of the reason why Majlis is here. So she read out the
Just
names.
us, we will not decide otherwise. We also have a lot of experience in the matter.
Yeah. So they're part of the complaints committee. So we have a robust system. So thank you students, especially. If any further queries, you can reach out to Majlis. And a big round of applause to Advocate.
Thank you everyone, you've been great audience. Thank you.
Just an announcement, students, while going out, I think you all are supposed to sign your exit signatures out there. Thank you.